want to start with Yoshimura-san about the services you provide for small businesses, particularly U.S. businesses that go into Japan. JETRO's been a very, very strong proponent of helping U.S. companies for many years, and actually I've helped and worked with some where JETRO headquarters in Tokyo take very good care of them. So can you briefly explain or take a moment to explain how a company would, if they want to enter the Japanese market, how they might be able to approach JETRO, what the process is, and what kind of services they might look to? Okay.
So when you would like to do business in Japan, we have a couple of people who can help you out in certain categories. And right now in Japan, since the new Abe Prime Minister's economic situation is really good, it's changing, so there is many needs for new business for the Japanese as well. So not just exporting to the Japanese, but importing is very important for them as well. So what we can provide you is, if you first you give you information, and if you'd like to actually look for a partner, we'll of course provide information. But we have rental offices, free out rental offices in Tokyo, Nagoya, and Osaka, large cities. And what we do, we have advisor there. So if you like to gather information by yourself, we'll have some translators and specialists to help you. And for 3 months, we can provide you like the small office, tax service, and with computers and so on. So especially right now, we used to help out like large companies for investment for Japan, like Costco. They're succeeding right now, very good. But right now we are receiving many response for small and medium-sized companies, such as like small retail companies. There's a recent company called Startup, but they're small, but they sell like hobby goods, which was very unique, and they didn't have any kind of small stocks in Japan, so they're just succeeding right now. And also for like internet business, right now there's so many internet shopping areas. So what the small companies who does help in advertising in website, they came and had an office for us. So first of all, if you have any really small interest, we'll look up for you for the market, how large the market is, and also we will provide good optimistic information, but also we should give some advice, like maybe if there's too much competition in that area, we could advise that as well. And since there's many food companies or interested in food in Japan right now, there is a from California, especially from the United States, most of the food right now is not the final product, but like raisins, almonds, and things like that. But there is a very, because there's a health, in Japan as well, there's a need for natural products, healthy food. I think California has a very good image for food products like that. Like California olive oil. In Japan, maybe food has an image of like France or Italy, but also like from the California wine, they're really interested in that as well. So I think there's a kind of niche area that we can advise you to. So if you have any questions, please contact us first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The online shopping, very interesting, right? I mean, as we travel through Asia, we see even people with very limited means have a more expensive mobile phone than me. I mean, this is really an interesting development when you look at somebody who might be on maybe a $6,000 a year, U.S. Income, has a Samsung S5. They spend most of their time shopping and looking at things online. So this is a trend. I think it's just much more the technology diffused much more widely and much more deeper in these Asian markets, I think, than in the U.S. But you mentioned something about you mentioned something interesting about the position of U.S. products and the perception of the buyers. And I want to kind of turn to Holly and maybe even John or whoever wants to pick up on this question, but you know, for so many years, we benefit from this country of origin impact on marketing. And also it can have a negative impact, right? Like in Russia, closing down McDonald's. But what is your sense of how that is progressing? Is the, you know, does the U.S. made in U.S. brand, particularly for food, is that a strong positioning statement? Is it growing stronger? What's happening in the market, you think, that's going to either enhance that or perhaps cut into it?
The big one we see in our industry is that the consumer is moving more and more to the convenience. We're obviously a seedless table grape breeder. And this is not just the Japan statement, this is really the entire Pacific Rim. It is a seeded grape market. In fact, the U.S. exports about 30 million cartons of seeded grapes to the Pacific Rim countries on an annualized basis, and a few other spots around the world, but it's a seeded grape market. Well, what we're seeing is, as we bring these new varieties that are superior eating qualities, great skin textures, they don't have the astringency, and they don't have a seed. Well, now I can just eat them, and they're convenient, and it's changing the behaviors. And actually, the youth in these countries is changing these behaviors also. The fruit preparation and the fruit delivery in a country like Japan and Korea is one of the most awesome things you've ever watched. How a mother will serve a family fruit. There's a lot of care taken to it. There's a lot of focus. There's a lot of pride. And these varieties that we're bringing to the market actually are helping her do something else, which is deliver a superior eating experience for her family. And it's something that's very different when we go from a seeded grape to a seedless.
The reason our customer buy insurance is because of a low profit margin. Food has the lowest profit margin compared to, let's say, solar or energy or electronics. So if they lose one account, if one of the customer stop paying, they probably can lose a lot of profit for the year. That's why they come to us to insure their receivables. With Japan, you know, most of the customers are insured the larger corporations, and for smaller business, you know, they do LCs and they go to the bank and do wiring and everything. So even though the 30-day term, 60-day term, they're very, very honorable, and you know, they're paying really on time. Just once in a while, we got hit by a large corporation that filed bankrupt.
That's why you have the insurance.
That's right.
Okay, well, I think that we'd like to open it up for questions from the audience for this distinguished panel here. So, let's see here. Anybody want to tender a question for our panelists? Oh, yes.
I think you indicated that your company went from an external exporting management system to one that's more internal. Is this kind of a trend that's within either your industry or across the board?
We were previously owned by an investment company out of Greenwich who had a very low tolerance for risk. And so we use the exporter and partners throughout the country who actually, in the Apple business, we tied into them and got into their containers. We work with exporters out of LA, out of the San Francisco area, who would take that financial risk that our holding company was not willing to do. But when you begin to look at the business more on a longer term perspective, and I think it has to do with your view of the future of your business. And so our ownership group today is looking more in the arena saying, I see 15 to 20 to 25 years out. That means you want to build your relationships in a very different manner than you do when you're looking at a 3 to 5 year horizon. So with that longer term perspective, I need long-term partners. You know, what John talked about signing long-term contracts, he's doing that with suppliers. He's probably going to turn around and do that also with retailers, which gives him more pricing power over time potentially. I mean, these are the discussions that we're in. And to do that, you have to have a very different relationship with the end customer, who ultimately gets as closest to the consumer. That's what the goal is, because when there's 3 or 4 people touching the fruit that we sell, it's eroding my profit margin. That's not where I want to be. I want to be closer to the consumer, because when I'm close to the consumer, I can deliver the freshest product possible, and I can deliver the brand promise that we are putting our name on.
Okay, all right. Other questions from the audience?
Beef market in Japan, I understand they only allow 20 months and younger. Have they released it to 30 months and younger yet? Do you know?
You have to have some good contacts on Capitol Hill,
Sure.
but our contacts say that sometime in September, October,
Uh-huh.
that it looks like it's going to change.
From 20 months to 30 months,
Yes,
like other countries do.
yes.
Yeah, oh, that's good.
So I hope so.
Oh, one more question to you. You talked about bison, the natural
Yes,
American wild cattle.
yes.
I tried that to Korea. They denied because they do not fit on the USDA EB program. Now, how would you do this to Japan?
Well, I always said if I wanted to be a professor, I could teach everybody, right? But to be honest with you, we're working with different agencies now. Even though bison now is well accepted, it's the leanest meat that you can have. It's much better for you. Doesn't have any pesticides or any of the garbage. It doesn't have any of the garbage in it. But you still have to educate. You still have to educate USDA and other agencies. And so that's what we've been doing for some time now. It has come to where LB was called by the bison people because we're different than most companies. If we see something that fits the marketplace and it has a long-term growth potential, then we want to be in it.
Good, very good.
Yeah.
Well,
If I could just add, meat defined broadly is one of our top exports to Japan. So the devil's in the details for when you're trying to figure out what exactly you can get into that market. But I'm very hopeful that as we come to the end game on the TPP negotiations, we'll find more opportunities for U.S. companies that are trying to get their products in these as well as other agricultural areas into the Japanese market.
thank you.
I work for a bank, you know, Japan had a very robust, like, parallel export, gray market arena for a while, Nike shoes and all that good stuff. But I recall that all the trade was strictly letters of credits or at minimum documents against payments and things like that. Have we seen that trend change in the last decade or so, that there's more open accounts or people are utilizing like the insurance companies to not to go through the LC process?
From year to year, I mean, we get increasing volumes in export credit insurance applications and transactions that we insure. I can't really address any specific industry. Agriculture has been, for a long time, a big industry sector that is supported by the Exim Bank. But we also, I think, primarily support the manufacturing sector and increasingly the services sector. Someone asked about services during the last panel discussion, and we have working capital insurance as well as direct export credit insurance for service providers as well, and I would say that that's a rapidly increasing trend. So other than that, that's about all I can say about that. I mean, it's something that a lot of people make great use of, but it's something we find that we still need to market more effectively to small and medium-sized companies in particular, just to let them know that it's out there and that it's available to them. Like my wholesaler in Fresno I was telling you about. A lot of people simply aren't aware of it.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, did
I
you
was
want
just going to say, on the receiver side of that question, it is a major change of how we thought about going to market. Because, again, in our previous life, there was a lot of concern about payment terms and cash. But the reason we go slow and the reason that we work very hard to find the right partners is, one, financial stability on their side of receiving our products. So that changes how we look at them and how we grant terms. So we put a lot of diligence behind that before we make a long-term or a committed relationship with a customer and a receiver.
different ways to handle it? Okay, well, I think we're going to hand it back because our time's up, right? So if you join me in giving a big hand to this distinguished panel.